Hi, my name is Javier, and I'm going to be presenting on the informal economy of Peru. Most developing countries have two parallel economies, the legal and the extra-legal. The legal economy is like the one we're familiar with in the developed world. Almost all the middle and large-sized companies are part of this legal economy. The owners of these companies are typically middle and upper-class individuals who have the educational capital to open a formal company. On the other hand, entrepreneurs from the lower classes are typically own the small businesses in the informal sector. High costs and deregulation that results from these companies are very problematic. Developing economies cannot ignore the problem of informality and must work to reduce the size of this sector if they ever wish to become a developed country. Developing countries often lack proper infrastructure in schools, health, education, and job opportunities. This is especially true in rural areas. The imbalances of rural to urban societies cause great numbers of migrants to urban areas with prospects of job opportunities. High rates of urban unemployment are inevitable because people migrate for perceived opportunities, not real opportunities. Legal systems that discourage entrepreneurs from legally registering their companies or hiring workers. Although these laws are created to benefit companies and workers, they are ineffective because people shy away from them altogether. The core problem behind ineffective laws in developing countries is that they are targeted to the formal sector of the country, the international companies and large companies. Declining productivity is caused by factors that affect flexibility, decision making, and effective use of resources. These factors are a lack of capital, no legal protection of company assets, inefficient specialization in resources and production, and limits to investment growth because of clandestine nature. Additionally, a lack of legal standing causes major problems in enforcing contracts. Informal companies are small in size because of the absence of property rights, fear of detection, and difficulty in enforcing government contracts. Usually, growing businesses innovate because of the incentive to increase sales. Since informal businesses are discouraged from growth, they typically do not innovate and limit the potential technological progress of the country. Since informal companies are not registered with the government, they cannot be taxed. Therefore, government higher taxes on the formal companies to make up the lost revenue from the informal. The next major cost of informality is a significant increase in utility rates. Many companies steal utility because they cannot sign contracts with the companies. Therefore, to make up for the loss, there are increases in utility costs for the rest of society. Decisions by the central government may not be taken correctly because there is no correct measurement of the real performance of the economy. Many times, these decisions are taken with only the formal sector in mind. These incorrect decisions may affect everyone in the country, especially if it regards major factors such as deficit and money supply growth rate. Economies in the world. In a decade, Peru's poverty has been reduced from 60% to 20%. Six factors contribute to Peru's growth: macroeconomic stability, prudent fiscal spending, high international reserves accumulations, external debt reduction, achievement of investment grade status, and fiscal surplus. Peru's economy consists of high levels of foreign exports. It is a diversified economy. Commodity exports still make up a significant portion. The main exports are copper, silver, gold, and petroleum. Trade and industry are still very centralized in Lima, but agricultural exports have helped develop other regions. Peru has free trade agreements with major economies such as the US, China, and the EU. Peru's labor market is informal. 35% of Peru's GDP is produced in the informal sector. Mining and illegal drugs are the largest informal industries. Mining products produced in informal markets cannot be legally exported and lack environmental regulations. These environmental impacts from illegal mining and logging in the Amazon has cost Peru millions of dollars. However, Peru has great legislation, but it's not oriented well to the economy. It is very hard for small and middle-sized companies to start. Additionally, illegal drug production has increased recently with its eradication in Colombia. Peru is now the largest producer of cocaine in the entire world. Third largest producer of gold in the world. Madre de Dios is the center of this production. 84% of the total miners are informal. Of these, 85% of the small mines and 15% are medium mines. However, they only produce 17% of the total gold production. 83% of the gold is produced in formal large mines. These are high in capital and low in labor, and only employ 16% of the total miners. There are no regulations on informal mines, and it's very hard for them to grow and cannot legally export gold. Legislation changes have been slow but are occurring, mostly sector by sector. Madre de Dios encouraged legal mines to open, but this is still a very small sector of the economy. Police enforcement campaigns have destroyed illegal activities. However, these regions are so remote that the informal activities also usually return. Leading change in Peru is economist Hernando de Soto, who is known for his work on the informal economy and the importance of business and property rights. He is president of the Institute for Liberty and Democracy in Lima and is responsible for hundreds of laws and regulations that have changed Peru's economic system. Since his work in Peru in the 80s, his institute has worked in 23 countries around the world. Significant reforms in order to reduce informality. The first step is to make the reduction of informality a part of the national agenda. The reduction of informality is a collaborative job that must be taken seriously in all levels of the government. Additionally, this will have a soothing effect on the population as the public will be informed of the coming changes. Next, the government must undergo a process of self examination to solve the inefficiencies and complexities. Special emphasis should be placed on bureaucratic processes for the public. Simplifying these complexities that exist in Peru's government will incentivize the population to legalize their businesses. Furthermore, lowering the rates of tax on the formal sector would motivate more informal enterprises to join formality. Peru must deregularize industries and the workforce to further incentivize formalization. Regularizations are important but need to be taken seriously into consideration when they limit the growth of the formal economy. This is because if a company does not join the formal sector, it will avoid regulation altogether. Next, the government must reduce the urban and rural inequalities in infrastructure, schools, healthcare, and economic opportunities. The reduction of these inequalities is extremely important as it will slow down urban migration, one of the core causes of informality. The government must promote and enforce the reduction of informality. Although police enforcement is necessary to a certain extent, it is important to create campaigns that will promote and the change of formality. Informality is so institutionalized that most Peruvians do not know that these laws and rules exist.